Blog Talk Radio.
Right. Good evening. Good evening once again, family. Shalom to everyone. Blessings, peace, grace, mercy, awareness. Hello. I hope all is well with everyone that hears this and everyone that doesn't. However, I know that is not to be the case completely, but I do hope that those ears that hear this and eyes that can see find peace and joy in this edification tonight. All praises to the Most High, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So tonight, this week, we know there's so much happening. So much happening that it's almost become great theater. I mean, as long as you're, not partaking, which you shouldn't be in the first place. I mean, I get it. There's a lot of people who are still, connected to this matrix, and that's fine. Be connected, not a problem. But my show is all about those that want to disconnect from the matrix. It's no puzzle. It just is what it is. My journey, my testament has been one of lots of downs. As a young man, I played sports, did very well, went to college, did okay. In the sport, I did okay, but in educating myself, I did pretty well. I realized that Europeans were never going to tell me about me, never was going to show me who I was, and therefore I had to find that out myself. I also realized that there was no way of me reaching the top without laboring at the bottom. And so my journey took me all around the country. I didn't go as far as out west, but I did go all around the country, and ended up in Louisiana and saw a completely different brother and sister there to me. Good brothers, good sisters, but they were not like I didn't grow up that way. I didn't talk the same way. And so my own brothers and sisters ostracized me in the deep, dirty South. So I was fighting a war on two fronts in my testament, my journey. And the whole time I was trying to figure out me. And the Most High said, son, continue on. And I did. Through lots of blood, sweat, and tears, I did. Learn a lot on the way, or within my reflection, I have seen a lot and learned a lot. My sign is Pisces. So I was the guy that thought very deeply and saw people make mistakes and I knew not to make them. It was simple to me, as it is today. I decided that, this Jesus thing was corny, didn't really make sense, never saw me in it, and I couldn't get with it. I was more inclined to believe that some aliens came from somewhere, planet Nubaru, planet X. I was more inclined to believe that than to believe my own inheritance, my own heritage. That I know now, of course. But it's just been an interesting travel, interesting journey. Did my time in the Masonic Lodge, did my time in that, saw that piece. I recognized a lot of, most I said, get out of that now. Get out of that. In college, I dabbled into the Greek fraternity. Most I said, nah, you ain't going to do that. I had to combat a bunch of racist white boys. I'm just going to say it. Bunches of them. So like today, so when people go, racism, no, listen, no. Racism is alive and well because this country was founded on it. But hey, that didn't stop me. I didn't fight them. I didn't attack them. I just moved out of the way. So it became really easy for me to get out of the way of these white people, in particular white men, white boys. And now, as I look upon the shores and look upon the lands of this country, I see a lot of them struggling. I see a lot of them in fear. And what has this got to do with Israel? Well, it has to do with Israel because the testament, my testament is my esoteric connection to the Spirit. Because once I've realized, as I reflect back, realized those times when the Most High said, no, you ain't doing this, you ain't doing that, you go here, go there, I can now see how the esoteric spirit led me even through the times of Jacob's trouble. And that gives me great joy and comfort now during Esau's trouble to know that I was connected enough to the Father that he would allow his spirit to protect me during the times of my prodigal sonning, during the times of me being under the curses. We look at this world today, and I see the times when I was in Jacob's trouble, during the cursing, before the 400 years was over, I see them doing the same thing. I see the same things happening to them, astounding to me. It's an amazing sight because I'm like, wow, I ain't going to tell them nothing. And the ones that I would go over and try to help before the Father told me, before the Father sent the Spirit to tell me, no more, done. I would go and say, hey, I'm Israel. Have you thought of this? Did you know that America is in the Bible in prophecy? Did you know that? I'd break out scriptures, and they'd say, you don't know what you're talking about. You're perversing the word. You don't know. You're not you don't know. And I'm going, scratching my head going, but I do know. And I'm trying to tell you. And then finally, over the course of time, the Spirit said, done. We're done. You're done with that. This is not about their salvation. This is about their cursing. And the times going forward, I'm going to put the wood to them. I'm going to them like I cursed you all. And I had to come to grips with that. Because as a Pisces, I'm trying to help people. I'm trying to manifest truth, knowledge, understanding, wisdom to everyone around me. Everyone that will listen. And the amazing thing is that now these white boys, these Gentile white boys, that like I play ball on Wednesday nights, like tonight, but didn't play tonight. And they go, well, man, you gonna come play? I was like, man, I can't. I mean, you guys, y'all, you got the games, you got the train, you got the practice at 8. And my show starts at 9:30, so no, I can't even do that. My lesson begins at 9:30, so I can't go. And they were like, you on the radio? I was like, yeah, I'm doing internet radio. They were like, well, what's it about? I said, biblical history. And they stopped and they looked at me and they said, you know what? I'm interested in that. And I look at them and I said, really? Okay, good. Because I'm not allowed to talk to you about it. I'm not. And it's not that I don't. I can only give bits and pieces. So full circle, here we are tonight. So I'm going to give some bits and pieces because, we have to understand history. We got to recognize these things. In particular, we got to recognize that America is the promised lands. The Americas are the promised lands to Shem. Not all of the promised land that Shem owns, but they are all his lands. Like, these are his lands, and then he's got some lands over in Europe. He's got some lands in Africa. And Europe is Europe, Asia, whatever. They're the same one continent. They try to split it up to confuse the mind, but it's all the same lands, okay? So Shem has lands over all the earth, just like Ham has lands on the earth, just like Japheth has lands on the earth. 3 brothers from Noah. Now check this out. Doing a little due diligence. And I was like, what is this? What did the ark, because somebody said something about the ark being in America. And I was like, that kind of makes sense. Well, let's try, I started checking it out. And it says gopher wood. The Bible says, Noah, make the ark out of gopher wood. And I said, well, where the heck is this gopher wood? Where is it and what is it? What is it? What is it? Lo and behold, gopher wood. Gopher wood is indigenous only to guess where? Guess where? To America. In particular, guess where? Bluntstown, Florida. You can't make this up. This is the glory of the Most High to tell to get the truth of the matter out. So people need to understand history. Okay, so if gopher wood is indigenous to Florida, which is in the Americas, then how can everything begin over there? And guess what? Corn. As I've done on many times here, a lesson on my show, corn is indigenous to Central Mexico. How many times is corn referenced in the Bible? 102 times. 102 times. So we got gopher wood that built the ark. So that would mean that the ark that was built using this gopher wood was before the flood. Pangea, okay, whatever. All right, whatever. But that would mean that the Americas is where Noah was. The lands of what we call now Americas was where Noah was. This is the only place that the gopher wood is. So this is a sign, a symbol to explain to people, to correct the error of the Gentiles in their lies of the history that they tell. Okay? Oh, well, it came to rest up in, in Turkey. Well, have you found it? I mean, it's supposed to be massive in size. No, we can't find it there. But trust us, it's over there. Okay, I'm supposed to trust you. I'm supposed to trust you. Matter of fact, I'm supposed to trust the people who made the image of God that everybody today, the image of Christ, that everyone today worships in the 1500s. You got here and you came to the Americas in 1492, so you were in Americas in the 1500s. You created a image which you weren't supposed to because that's one of the 10 Commandments, but I'm supposed to trust you. See, this is a bit of history that people have to take for more than a grain of salt. They have to take this and eat on it. They have to say to themselves, well, wait, then that would make sense. Okay, so time out. Okay, Noah came over. Noah was here. He built the ark over here. The ark, we don't know where the ark is, but we got this Grand Canyon over there that has striations that looks like it was. Oh, and matter of fact, we got these tunnels and these caves in the Grand Canyon that has Egyptian artifacts. And what's also interesting to me is that what we see in Egypt today, all of that stuff, it was there, but it wasn't there when they found it. Like, they had to dig out the Sphinx. They had to dig out all of that other stuff. So that could be one place that Egypt was. That could be one of it could be a part of Egypt. But there could have been a bigger Egypt elsewhere. Because Mizraim or Egypt, because if we're talking about Shem, Ham, and Japheth, then we're talking that they were in a centralized location where the ark was, where they got off the ark. Now, could we say, well, okay, the ark came to rest in Florida, and then that wood somehow, did some trees, and then it's a stretch. Because all we have to know is gopher wood, the wood that the Bible says for Noah to build the ark with, is indigenous to the Americas. Which, mind you, isn't the only thing indigenous to the Americas. Corn, like I said, things that all of biblical times used. It wasn't in Africa. It wasn't in Europe. So if they were eating corn throughout the Bible, maize, then would it not make sense that they were somewhere close to the Americas? Okay, that's 2. 3, they didn't get their Bible. They didn't make their Bible because they made it. They made it up. They stole scriptures, and then they rewrote everything. They added to and took away from. Okay, it's what they did. But they didn't have the finished product until 1611. Well, they came to the Americas in 1492. So 100 years, almost 120 years, they got information and wrote the Bible. Because before that, if we say 70 A.D., right? 70 A.D., Rome sacked Jerusalem and took all and stole everything. Okay. Well, that's what they did, right? That's fair. But you would think from 70 A.D. to before 1611, they would have had information. They would have been able to have written their Bible, but they didn't. And another thing. Watch this. So time began at 0. So wait a minute. So time, when you do searches on these things, and you ask these questions. Hold on. So the Romans started there in the first century, okay? The first century. So when you ask what was happening, first century Roman Empire, this is what was going on. This is 0 or 1 or 100, as they say. But their starting time that we know, like 2022, they're starting it from 100. They're starting it from a time that time had already began. So it goes from like 753 to 509, so it goes backwards. It doesn't move forward. They want to say time started in they want to go. They don't want to start at zero. So this is what was going on in Rome in the first century in Europe. The Roman Empire in the first century A.D. mixed sophistication with brutality and could suddenly lurch from civilization, strength, and power to terror, tyranny, and greed. So wait, help me understand how these people who started their time, started their beginning on terror, strength, power, tyranny, and greed, somehow today get to tell us that they are the vicar of Christ, that their Christianity means something, that their white Jesus is the way to salvation. When they started off tyranny, wanting power and greed. See, this is what history, people don't understand history. They want to look at history from, the Gentile perspective. They want to look at it all from their perspective. When, in fact, first century Roman Empire, right? That's A.D. So if I say was going on around the world during the Roman century, and I'm doing this so that because people need to understand how to search for things, how to look for things. Now, of course, this isn't something that you're going to put all your stock in, but this is just a beginning way of searching, okay? So they want to say, and this is why everything has to be over there, okay? During this period, Europe, North Africa, and Near East fell under increasing domination by the Roman Empire. So again, wait, but what about the Americas? Oh, they didn't know about the Americas. So watch this. Europe, North Africa, and the Near East. 3 parts. This is all they knew about. This was their world. But we know before this, things were happening in South America. We know that by the Inca, by Peru, by the megaliths. We know that by the megaliths in Mexico and North America. That there were other things going on, that Rome was not the center of the world. It was for them, but not for everyone else. So when I was having this conversation about the 10 tribes, people go, "Oh, the 10 tribes was before that was before the flood." And I'm thinking to myself, see, this is why history is a hell of a drug. This is why history is a hell of a drug. For some reason, Europe has everyone looking at history through their perspective. Their perspective. See, and that's why the Most High's got to judge them. That's why he's got to set things straight. That's why it only makes sense that salvation is for Israel, because the Gentiles won't even acknowledge Israel. Oh, not the Israelis, but Israel, because they won't even acknowledge the 4th part. And when you tell them about the 4th part, they act dismissive. I don't know where they're scoffing. America's not in the Bible. America's not in prophecy. And you're saying, well, wait a minute. Let's take a step back. Let's not look at it through your eyes, Gentile, but let's look at it through my eyes. I'm saying that the 4th part is the Americas. You don't know what you're talking. Okay. But this is where we are. We're now able to reconcile. Irony is, for so long in this country, around the world for so long, but more so in this country. Negro men, Israelite men, were killed to read if they were found to read, if they could read. They were murdered. They were slain. But now all of a sudden we're reading and people want to dismiss us. You don't need to be reading that. You don't know what you're talking about. You're reading too much. What in the hell? Tomfoolery. So before, you didn't want me to read, and you had the power to kill me if I did read. Now I'm reading, and you're telling me that I shouldn't read. See, this is the madness of the Gentile, but it's also the madness of our people. Because it's our people that are telling our people nowadays, you shouldn't read that. You don't need to read that. You talking about magic? You talking about roots or voodoo or you need to stick in this Bible. Everything's in this Bible. Well, how is everything in the Bible if the Gentiles gave you the Bible? Does the Bible say everything is in this book? Gentiles say everything is in this book. See, this is the clarification of understanding and overstanding esoterically that we have to utilize, because that was our strength, that was our power. And we're getting that back because they don't have any right to it. Esau had a time where he didn't have the right to it, but he was able to use it. It wasn't his by birthright, okay? But he was able to make use of it, which means that we get to own it. And in owning it, how does that look? Okay? How does that look? That looks like we don't need to be in fear of the Gentile, because fear is the absence of faith. So people go, well, you need to, this is the encouragement, right? This is how we encourage you. Fear is the absence of faith. So therefore, we need to strengthen our faith. And in strengthening our faith means that we have to understand who we are, how we connect, our power. But we don't need to know how we connect and know our power as it relates to the Gentiles' narrative or the Gentiles' thoughts, the heathen's thoughts. See, for a long time, we've been looking through the eyes of a Gentile. That's why they were able to say, you know what, we're just going to create our own little Israel over here. You know what, we're going to create our own little Christianity over here, and we're going to be in charge. Because we're looking at things through their perspective. See, those days are over. This is the conundrum that they're in. They are not able any longer to kill us for reading. They are no longer able to wipe us off the planet through their confederacies. They're too busy right now trying to rebuild. They're trying to kill each other. They're trying to not kill each other. They're trying to maintain what they got, while we over here learning who we are, while we're over here taking our power back, while we're over here gaining our inheritance, our knowledge, our birthright. Now listen, black, white, Puerto Rican, Haitian, none of that matters. But when you are of Israel, it is a mental thing. It is a mindset. So therefore, you have to know this. And when you know this, you know it in your bones. You know it in your soul. See, that's Ezekiel 37. I never heard no Gentile, heathen, pastor, minister, priest talk about Ezekiel 37. And when I talk about it, at the end of Ezekiel 37, it says, take this stick, take these two sticks, put one in this hand, put one in the other hand, put it together. It's the whole house of Israel. I don't hear nobody talking about the whole house of Israel. And when you look up the Asherah, These people want to go, oh, well, the northern kingdom was destroyed and brought into subjection during Assyria, and they were pushed out, and no one knows where they are. And then when they go, Judah was destroyed right after that, which is asininity, because their book is saying that Judah, the whole house of Israel, will be here at the end. Their logic would mean that the end. Now watch this. The end of Israel was then. So then, who are these people now? And what is this Christianity madness? Because you can't have Israel. You can't have Christianity without Israel. You just can't. So for people to go, well, that Old Testament, we don't need to worry about that Old Testament. Or wait. That's like me saying, I don't need to worry about my grandfather or my grandmother. They don't even matter. Well, shoot, I wouldn't be here without them. I got to give it up to them. I've got to respect. I've got to pay homage to them. I've got to love them for the love that they had to create my parents, for them to create me. It's the same thing. But these Gentiles don't even want to pay respect to Israel. Hence why they make up their own. And then they go off on the deep edge talking about, we don't need no Jesus. He's boiling in his own excrement, and we don't need this. Well, of course they're going to say it, because they are those that say they are, but are not. And that's in their Bible too. It's so ridiculous that it's funny. It really is. And that's why, we've read these things over and for so long, and we never really made these connections until the Most High said, your 400 years are up. Start making these connections. And here we are, busting this world at the seams, just busting it, blowing it out. And they're all struggling to keep up. Think about that. They're struggling to keep up with us. As soon as we pop, it's like, I don't remember that little toy that when you go to like Chuck E. Cheese, the thing is not, I want to say Big Duck, but it's like the squirrel thing where you one pop up, you trying to hit it, another one pop up over here, another one, they constantly trying to pop up. We pop it up, going whoa, giving all praise to the Most High, and they can't stop it. And soon they gave all their money up, and we got it, and we laughing, because this is not our fight. This is their fight. We were never set to fight. We were set to struggle. If you read Jasher, we never really fight nobody, like talking about. We never fought. The Most High said, okay, stay here, do not move, be quiet, stand still, and watch me work, and expect my fight. And he'd go out there and he'd watch he'd have them killing themselves, or the spirit or the angels will come down and fight on behalf. We never had to fight. We were set up to struggle because we had to understand our God, our Elohim. Because people say we went off. Well, it wasn't necessarily that we went off. We began to not care. Because we wanted all we were willing to give all of that up for 30 pieces of silver. This is what Israel did. But the Most High, because of the covenant that he made with our father, Abraham, he was willing to say, okay, I will forego your treachery, and I will bring you back into my fold. But you've got to struggle. You've got to suffer. You're going to have to die. And this is where we are. Now the 400 years, it's by no coincidence. It's by no coincidence that 2019 came. and all hell is broken loose. This is not a coincidence. And what gets me is nobody is even connected. Well, we are, but nobody else in this world is connecting those dots. Negro, white, European, alike. What is happening right this moment is the Gentiles are saying they are trying to double down and say, we will rebuild and we will be next. Each one of them. You got Asia wanting to be next. You got Russia wanting to be next. You got NATO wanting to be next. When NATO's already in control, Russia wants control and Asia wants control. But what they're missing is that the Most High is saying, especially to his people, there will be no more next out of the Caucasus Mountains. None of them will be next. It's over for them. Now, we just need to sit back, be quiet. No, be quiet to them. We ain't got to worry about them. This is about Israel. This is about us. You know, so we don't have to communicate to them in any way, shape, or fashion. We don't need to explain anything to them. We don't need to prove anything to them. This is what I mean by us being quiet. But we amongst ourselves need to vocal up. Be very, very vocal. And if within that lion's roar, and they hear it, and they tremble, and they cower and cleave to us, then so be it. But we don't have to go out and get on our soapbox with them. It's not what we're about now. Those days were earlier on in this walk. The Most High said, okay, as you learn, you can teach them. You can bounce it off of them, but you'll see that they ain't gonna believe you. So therefore, this walk is not for them; it's for you, and that's where we come full circle. Everything is full circle now. You know, they are so hell bent on trying to be next. It's like being at a pickup basketball game, and the two teams are still playing, they on point, and point keeps going, and these guys on the sidelines getting antsy, and they're like, yo, I got that, and now they fighting because they want to be next, and then they getting so mad because the other teams are still playing that they just bum rush the court. This is what they doing. They bum rushing the court, their court. This is them playing. It ain't us playing. They wouldn't even let us play. We ain't got no nation. We ain't got no nukes. This is them playing. This is what they doing. They jockeying to get next. And they don't even understand that there is no next. It's a wrap. It's done. Done, son. They're done. And it's interesting, you know, like I listen to the family online, and sisters and brothers is out here just keeping it plain, keeping it simple, you know, Sister Pat, Brother Judah, Brother Levi, Brother Yaquab. You know, brothers is out here, sisters is out here just telling the truth, telling it. And it's resonating so much with so many of us that we feel like we've been in this for like decades. And really, it's only been 4 years. Well, 3 years. I mean, think about that. It's only been 3 years since our captivity was over. Now imagine another 2 years going to 24, where we're going to be, the state of our nation, the state of the remnant. We don't care about their rebuilding, you know. Although they exalt themselves like the eagle, they're going to be torn down. They're going to be brought down. This is what's happening. They will rebuild my ass. They're not rebuilding. And see, this isn't about them. This is about us. People want to talk about salvation. It's like, this is our salvation is the knowledge of who we are and the knowledge of who they are, and to know that we got next. That's our salvation. Salvation is of Judah. Judah is the king. Judah will represent the whole house of Israel. So salvation isn't, you know what, once saved, always saved. I'm highly saved and favored. You know, Jesus came. The blood of Jesus. The blood of Jesus is going to come back with the whoop ass and with the sword and wipe everybody out. A lot of people. There's going to be blood up to the bridle of the horse. That's up to the neck of the horse. So, I mean, come on. Ain't going to be nobody escaping. Nobody. Ain't going to be no escape. These people are so hell-bent on getting out of here. Where are they going? How can they go somewhere? Where can they go? You know what? They're trying to go underground. But we know. I mean, that's stupid to go underground. They don't even, you know, the beings underground is going to catch them. And the Most High is going to drop, you know, crush them. He says that. They'll be running to the rocks and say, fall on us. Oh, yeah. That's what's going to be happening. And what do we need to do? We need to recognize how to control our balance so that we can control our desires. So if we are out of balance, then we will not be in control of our desires. And the desire is what has built this world that we live in. Gentiles desire. So if we're living under the desire, a Gentile desire, which we know is full of wickedness, right? We know that. We know their desire is any and everything. Shoot, they run around talking about binary. Well, come on, you're a man or a woman. You can't be all these things. That's their desire. You can't just put things all up in you. That's their desire. You can't just steal, kill, and destroy because you want something. This is their desire. But we've been living up underneath this. But the moment we start controlling our desires away from their desires, well, their system falls. This is what's been going on. We've been controlling our desires. We're no longer praying for them. We don't desire the same things. We don't care about the same things. This system's imploding. And then they're going to be mad at us. People mad at us. Oh, you need to be. No, we don't. Why? Who says so? Just because you got TD Snakes and pocket full of dollars who goes over there and tries to rape our people, and then you got the other dude from CNN who's all about the boule. What's his name? Goodness gracious, great balls of fire. What is that Negro's name? On CNN, now he's on MSNBC, and he's a boule to the heart, and he's always talking about reparations, that he wants the money. Niggas. You own that $500 million that Tennessee State is owed is a drop in the bucket for what they owe us. I'm not even running after that little chicken scratch. I don't even care about that chicken scratch when I want it all. This is the time for Israel to say, we want it all. We want ours back. And they're going to have to. That's part of our got next. Know of a surety. The seed will be a stranger. The land not their own. And be in captivity for 400 years. They will come out with great substance, and afterward, that nation I will judge. So we need only continue to do the right thing. What do we know? We know that their history is wrong. We know their timeline is off. Like, these are things we know. We know that their science is completely false. We know that their politics is completely wicked. We know that their religion, see, I'm going to use their religions because we have spirituality, spiritualism. We don't have a religion. What we have is something they don't have. That's why they created religion. We have spiritualism. So to combat that after they beat us down and stole everything and raped us and killed us, they created religion. 1500s, they created white Jesus as a picture, religion. Before that, we were still rolling. There was still a semblance of spiritualism, but they came in and said, "Oh, these natives, these Indians, these niggers, they're worshiping a totem pole. They're savages, but yet they're worshiping two sticks, a cross, which, mind you, was ours in the first place." All of these things that they have done has been ours. They have bastardized. They have literally bastardized everything that we had. It's like a bully. They took our stuff. They didn't know how to use it. They didn't know what it was. They created their own narrative. They then created their own story on it. They created their own history on it. And now they got it. But see, at the end, none of that's going to matter. All that's going to be gone because we ain't even supposed to be worrying about these idols. I mean, every day, I'm a soccer head, so here's a piece of the pie that not everybody is paying attention to in our nation. Maybe not. But we know that there's a war going on. We know that Russia has control over the energy, the gas, which could freeze Europe, right? Put them in a sorrowful state. But what many don't know is that this is a World Cup year, and this World Cup year is in Qatar in November, which means that all the world, too much about the World Cup, because, we deal with American white man football, okay? We don't deal with European white man soccer, all right? But the rest of the world does. Mexico, all our neighbors, Canada, Mexico, the Caribbean, Central America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, they all, and Qatar is Asia for all practical purposes, okay? So all the rest of the world will be in Qatar, okay? That's where it will be. That's where all eyes will be in 25, 26 days. All things going to come to a stop. People are going to be cheering on their nation, all up in their pride. They're going to be rah, 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 rahing. And the Most High is going to take them out. It's going to be tricky. All this money that they pay these guys is going to mean nothing when they ain't got a house to come back to, when their families are gone. So people go, well, America's going to have to be judged. Yeah, but the Most High is smart. He's playing chess. He's going to take care of Europe first because he wants America to put on them so that America can know that the whooping that they're going to get, these Gentiles over here, doggy. It's going to be nothing nice. Nothing nice. And what better time to do this than a World Cup year? The Most High is brilliant. Fools don't even understand. They ain't even recognizing. The whole world will have eyes in Asia. They will be all distracted. They don't even Russia. They won't even let Russia go to the cup. They won't even let them go. So Russia going to be doing their diligence, and I think China ain't there either. But they're going to be doing their diligence to put the wood to the Ukraine. Ukraine's going to be over at Qatar. This whole thing is a setup. The Most High is setting them up nicely. Nicely. You know, and here on the home front with these sporting idols that they got, you know, he over there, you know, cheating just like the Clintons cheated, just like they all cheating the poor. You don't think that that's going to be judged? That's the interesting thing. People don't even understand what judgment is. They'll tell me, people like me, you can't be judging these people. You can't judge. What? Of course I can judge them. They judging everybody every day. So why can't? So, you know, Christianity says you can't judge. But Christianity judges everybody every day. Christianity has been judging us every day for the last 500 years. Shoot, longer than that. They judged us during the Inquisition. You don't think that there's going to be no judgment for them? It would be best that they would listen to what we're saying. It would be best that even our own people would take a step back and go, you know, these people, it's interesting that these people, our people, have been saying this, and all this stuff is happening. And they don't seem fazed. They ain't in no fear. Oh, Revelations is here. Revelations is here. It's going to be a nuclear war. Okay. Let it be. Because that would be the right thing. That would be karma. That would be judgment, and so be it. Because it's not an option. This is the greatest time of all time ever. You talk about the GOAT. This is the time right now. This is the GOAT time. The greatest of all time. The Most High, the Ancient of Days is about to come, show up, wreck shop, tell everybody shut the hell up, quiet your lip, do what he gonna do, and show out. And those that are on his team are gonna be like, those that aren't gonna be on his team are gonna be sad. They're gonna be sad. And there's going to be many of those that think that they were on this team this entire time to realize that they weren't on this team. And they're going to be even sadder. Ooh. But I thought. No, you know, remember when I sent so-and-so over there to tell you to get on my team and you said he's crazy? You said she didn't know what she was talking about? You said you need to have the blood of Jesus? When you should have been on my team, remember that? Well, I don't know you. Again, that's in their book. See, the encouragement is to understand that you're on the right team. This is what it's about. It's about the team that you're on. If you're on the right team, well then, put it like this, if you're on the winning team, are you sad or happy? If you're on the losing team, are you sad or happy? Well, this is all jockeying for position. We all trying to figure out what team we're going to be on. What side are we on? You're going to be, and to me, what's funny to me is, I'm damn sure not going to err on the side of the Gentiles. Just their history alone tells me not to do that. That's easy. That's the easy decision. The hard decision is working it out daily. Figuring out, coming to me, asking, talking to me, and being part of my life is what team are they on? See, that's the harder part because you don't want to be trapped or ensnared by the fools on the other side. You don't want to be mesmerized by their foolishness, by their tomfoolery. That's why this is so important. This time is so important. That's why I started out, go for wood. Go for wood. America. Everything that we're seeing, everything is showing us historically that America is the promised land. Here's another one for you. All the giants, they're all indigenous to the Americas. All the bones. We know that. We know what here we go again. We know what the Smithsonians did. They came in, took all these people, all the bones, these big bones, and they put them in the Smithsonian. That's what they did. They know there are not as many giant bones found anywhere else but America, the Americas. I mean, shoot, the megaliths down in Peru are massive, giant steps. Again, Americas. You know, God. So here's the logic. Here's the Gentile logic. Stu. God, which we know, this is their logic now. God, which they know is Jesus, he didn't know nothing about the Americas. He created everything in the universe, but he didn't know nothing about the Americas because that was just fair game. That was free. There was nothing there. It was just some savages that white people had to come and give white Jesus to. And, you know, this has nothing to do with anything of prophecy or scripture, nothing, because everything happened over where they were. They didn't even know about scriptures. 70 A.D. Again, what was going on in the first century? During this period, Europe, North Africa, they don't even talk about sub-Saharan Africa. They don't even talk about Kemet, right? They don't even talk about these things. Okay? They don't talk about Mali, Ghana, Songhai. They don't talk about these things. Interesting enough as well. It's stated that Socrates studied in the University of Jenne in Goa. Reason why Socrates was destroyed by his own people was because Socrates went back to Greece, and said, I have learned this. And they listened to him, their Congress or their council listened to him, and they said, look here, nigga, you got two options. You can either take this poison or you can take this sword because you're not going to teach this information to our people. That's what they did. He took the poison. I mean, this is their history is not filled with honor. And that is a key attribute for Israel because you have to honor the father, honor the mother. You have to honor the son. But these Gentiles had no honor, so they honored nobody. It was feast or famine. It was kill or be killed. So why we hold them up in such high regard today, I'll never know. Because their history stinks. It reeks of filth. And then look, you got some Negroes. You got our people running around talking about, we Kemet, we Egyptian, and I go, but Babylon was the first nation, right? Wasn't Egypt. Oh, you're crazy. It was Egypt. And I'm going, golly, everybody is so messed up. They're just so messed up. I can't even get through to our people to get them to understand that Israel was through all these nations, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. They won't even acknowledge that Israel was from the beginning. Oh, there was no Israel. Okay. They won't even acknowledge that the father's bloodline was from the beginning. Now these people, our people, and the Gentile, or people, the Gentiles, and the heathen, want to act like, oh, none of this is true. Well, shoot, 100 years ago, everything was true. Everything was true. I mean, damn, you wrote the book. But now that we are taking our salvation back, now that we know our history, now that we're saying who our God is, now all of a sudden ain't nothing true. Now all of a sudden nothing, it's all fake. Now all of a sudden you don't want to believe. Well, you'll be believing something soon. Because the fear that's all over these is so evident and so plain that and this is Christianity. The Christians are running in fear. They're running around talking about, oh, Revelations, it's going to be a nuclear war, and we got to get ourselves ready, and we got to prep, and I'm going, where are you going? And why you stink of so much fear? You stink. Get away from me. Because this is not the time to fear. This is the good news of Israel. There should be no fear for Israel. That's why we don't fear. That's why I don't fear. That's why it doesn't matter what they do. They're never going to destroy the Creator's creation, period. They do not have the power to do it. They say they do, but they don't. Oh, we know we got nuclear arms. Okay. But we also know that they haven't used them in a long time. Yet we know that America's used them, and we know that they're going to pay for that. Those people are going to pay for that. And I would venture to say that, because remember, this is the 20th century, I would venture to say that that America dropped it, but the decision was Rome and England. And because Rome, the Pope, and the Queen had their hands in everything during that time. So I would venture to say, because the three-headed eagle, right? The military, but the decision makers was the money and the religion. The military was just, they've always been used to be the hammer. That's why we're seeing all this stuff happening over there in Europe now and Asia. Because they instituted or initiated, they drafted the plans to do all the wretchedness on the earth. So they got to pay. And they're going to pay. And the military arm, which is America, they're going to pay because they're going to be moved over there to fight, which is it's so interesting. It's so interesting. And what's interesting is this. Let me get to it. What is interesting is the Most High, again, told us this. He said, Joel 3, right? I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations, and parted my land. So everyone has to go over to where he's going to make the final judgment. And what do you think that last judgment is going to be? It's going to be right there in the Ukraine, which the Ukraine is ancient Khazaria. See, this is all making sense. He's got to punish them threefold where they began. Remember, the beginning and the end are synonymous. So where they began, where all this madness began, was with these Khazars. Because if you look at the history of Khazaria, they were also fighting Rome. They were also fighting Genghis Khan. That's their story. That's why they became Jewish. That's why they converted. See, all this has to play itself out. And this Valley of Jehoshaphat, which just means Valley of Judgment, you know? And this is how they do things. It says, and will plead with them. Like, oh, please, nations, hell to the no. He is going to, that's the Riot Act. You can say, and there I will read them the Riot Act. I'm going to open up the books. I'm going to show all of their history, all of the things that they've done, everything from the beginning to the end in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, and I'm doing it because of what they did for my people. I'm going to do this for my people and for my heritage, Israel, whom they scattered among the nations. Now, granted, he scattered them, right? He scattered us. The Creator did that. But they did it worse. They weren't supposed to do it as horrific as they did. So he's going to judge them for that. And parted my land. That means, hey, I in the name of Portugal, I take this land over. There was remember? Oh, he didn't know nothing about America. So that was just a blank canvas. The Europeans come over here and we could take this because nobody here, no civilization here. So this was all free. Parted his land and was supposed to. And nobody wants to talk about it. You don't hear no pastors talking about this. Why? Because they know the moment that they start talking about this is the moment that Israel, true Israel, wins the game. And this game that they playing, it's a wrap. This is why. I mean, think about it. I remember, 10 years, 12 years, 13 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, everybody was talking about martial law. Oh, the elites are going to, they're going to do this and they're going to do that. And you know what's really interesting? The first thing the Most High did, he's signs and wonders, right? First thing the Most High did was destroy that BS Georgia Guidestone. He destroyed, boom, took that out, destroyed it. And he did that to tell them, nah, ain't going to be no separate story from my story. Ain't going to be no talking while I'm talking. Just so you know. And then from that point on, everybody's like, oh, snap. I saw it like, man, the Most High just told them to shut their mouths. Man, this is where's my popcorn at? And from that point forward, it's been all hell, crack-a-lack, and breaking loose. It's been just breaking loose. These fools don't know which way is up. They're losing sanity, man. And then, over the past weekend, was it this past weekend? Yeah, over the past weekend. No. Last weekend, all of a sudden, the little Fort Myers, that Gulf of Mexico is tricky. Because that could be also, like the Red Sea, the Reed Sea, the Red Sea, that could be. So the Most High punishing them cats, destroy everything on the Gulf. See, and Florida is, I mean, I got friends in Florida. I like going down there, for a time, but I don't want to live there. But Florida has some wretched-ass people in it. I mean, truly. I mean, every time there was a thing last night, this Floridian father did something wrong. And, instead of him just owning up to accepting his consequence, what did he do? He took his 1-year-old child. The cops are all around, the dogs, white dude. The dogs all around, the cops all around. And what does he do? He takes his baby and uses him as a shield. Isn't that where Flocka came from, Florida? Weren't they using bath salts down there? They eating people? Isn't that where they were gator baiting on that Gulf Coast of Florida, the Panhandle? Don't sleep. Aren't they, isn't that where that sheriff was like, talking about black people? Isn't that where Trayvon was? I don't know. I'm not 100% on Trayvon, but this is what I'm saying. Florida has its demons. That whole Gulf Coast. You just go from the western side, from the Keys, all the way around the Gulf, from Mobile, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, Vidor, Texas. People just look up Vidor, Texas, what they've been doing, and that was in the 80s. All those Gulf Coast states on the Gulf Coast were sundown states. How much blood of our people have been destroyed, has been strewn all around those states. And I'm supposed to feel bad? Hell to the no. My salvation is with the Father. Christ came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel to bring us salvation in this day. What is salvation? Peace. Peace of mind. To bring us enriched faith. How? By showing us, after the 400 years, that judgment is here. The judgment, ain't nobody judges other than the judge. You got judges going to jail. You got Biden looking like a crusty demon, possessed demon. You got the music industry being called out for their demonology, getting hammered because of their wickedness. And then you got the poor getting their comeuppance to some degree. There's homeless everywhere, right? And the homeless, and it's just what I see, and I'm in North Carolina, and this is what I see. I see more Caucasian homeless people than I do Negro. Where when I was growing up, I saw a lot of brothers and sisters, bums is what they call them, bums back in the day. Well, now those same bums are a bunch of white people. And shoot, this is their civilization. So that there, to me, tells the tale, shows the bigger picture. This is some real talk. And I know that people don't want to believe it. They don't want to acknowledge things. They caught up in things. They looking for a handout. They looking for money. They looking for their 30 pieces of silver. Look, do whatever you feel you need to do. Get your 30 pieces of silver. Sell your soul for this nation. Do it. Best of your ability. Get your salvation now. And then people go, well, don't you work? Yeah, I work. But you know what? I work. I bust my butt. But I'm giving all praises to the Father. All praises to the Father. I'm not believing in white Jesus. I'm not saying that Christ isn't real. I'm not talking about, Egyptology. I'm talking about the Father, the God, the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Because I want to err on the side of righteousness. I want no part of this wicked-ass world that the Gentiles have created for themselves. I'm not sitting here going, well, I guess I got to be part of it because, win in Rome. No, hell with that. Ain't no win in Rome, nothing. That's stupid. I have the free agency to determine how I want to think, how I want to talk, how I want to walk, how I want to see, how I want to act. I can't be blaming things on somebody else for what I do. I have to take responsibility for what I do individually. And through my actions, hopefully somebody else can see the righteousness in that walk. But the Gentiles, they run around trying to blame everything on everybody else. So then the Negro, they coming up because remember, we it ain't been but 70, 80 years. Shoot, less than that, it's been about 70 years that we've been in the game, in the Gentile game. So, the Gentiles been blaming everybody left and right for all their not taking responsibility, not being accountable, not taking no consequence. But then we get it and we go, well, we try to do that too, but we get all the consequence. Oh, nigga, you can't be like me. Kill him. Oh, send him to jail. And we go, but wait, they would do it. Don't matter. You ain't them. Or better yet, y'all all friends. Everyone gets arrested. Everyone goes downtown. But then they get out. You stay in. This has been the MO of the Gentile society from its inception towards us. This ain't my opinion. This ain't a thought. Oh well, maybe he just that's what he believes. No, these are facts, historical facts of the matter. And what's even more interesting is the Most High don't want you to go to school to learn Him. He wants everyone to have learned Him via the Father, the mother, the son, and the daughter. The whole household is supposed to learn the Most High. Now, granted, that's Israelites. That's not the heathen nor the Gentile. They can do whatever they want to do. We don't care. We're not here for their enjoyment, their entertainment. They said, okay, we can't put them all on the chain gang. We can't take all of their rights from them. So what do they? But what can we do? We can let them entertain us. We can let them entertain us. And you know what? We're only going to let those that have been known to entertain us, their seed, entertain us. And if those that break into it, they got to wear the dress. They got to get impacted. They got to eat the dookie. They got to lie, cheat, and steal to show them approved for our system. And for a long time, it's what we did. We ate the poison wine. We drank the poison wine. We ate the poison berry, the poison from the poison bush of the Gentiles. But now some of us going, nah, I don't want that. Nah, I don't want that either. Nah, you know what? Better yet, I'm going to go over here and I'll fend for myself. What do you mean you don't want this? What do you mean that this isn't good enough for you? Nah, it's not that. It's just not me. And then they go, well, I mean, you think that you're better than. Well, wait a minute. I just don't want what you are giving me. Well, why not? Well, it's rotten. Everything that your people have done is rotten. Your politics is rotten. It's funny. This last election, presidential election, I said, stop voting. Stop being complicit in these people's madness. Everybody was against it. Oh, you're crazy. Our people died to vote. No, they didn't. Once again, you don't know history. History, our people was murdered because they believed the vote was the answer to their freedom. So ultimately, they were voting for freedom. They didn't die to vote. They died for their freedom. That was the point. But now, these cucklehead boule Negroes, they want everybody to believe that the vote, so that they can get out and get paid because they're getting paid to keep us docile, to keep us degenerate, to keep us in line with the Gentile madness or connected to the Gentile madness. And we don't need it. We don't need it now. We can see Biden, Trump, Obama, Clinton, Bush. Listen, if these people were half as righteous as the world would not be in the plight that it's in today. If these mega church people and these pastors, these priests and these popes, these imams, these rabbis were half as righteous as they say they are, the world would not be in this dire straits as it is today. Those are facts. Those are facts. Ain't no getting around that. But now, after the 400 years, you're so crazy with this 400 years. After the 400 years, 2019, you're not in this walk as an Israelite, you cannot understand what I'm saying, because everything has changed. Everything has changed. 150,000 millions %. It has changed. It is a wrap. They don't have control over us. They don't have control over our minds. They said, okay, so check this out. 1980, right? 1980, Curtis Blow. All of a sudden, it was party hip hop. Then by the end of the 80s, it was middle to the end of the 80s, it was conscious hip hop. X-Clan brothers was talking about conscious things, how to come UNITY, stop the violence. Then all of a sudden the 90s hit, crack cocaine became big time, a way to, ends to a means or means to an end. And all of a sudden it was kill, destroy, rape, kill, destroy, rape. Then they start they start putting more money into the police, militarized the police, came into our hoods, was killing, clocking heads, spilling blood. And they, order out of chaos, set it up that way. And now we're like, listen, we don't trust you. We don't trust your religions. Your religions don't even make sense. Jesus come to save the whole world. It doesn't even say that. Their Bible does not even say that. He doesn't say the whole world. Oh, yeah, John 3:16. No, John, he's talking about the whole world of Israel. Precept upon precept, line upon line. You go to 3:12. I believe 3:12. It tells you it, but they want to give you their interpretation. Remember, through their eyes. We're done with that. We don't want to see the world through their eyes. We've seen it, and it's not good. We want to see it through our eyes, and when we see it through our eyes, shoot, it's magnificent, because the Father is here putting a whoop ass to them. Yeah, we're happy about that. Yes, we are. It's sad. We do have sympathy and empathy for some, but we're happy, because that means that our time is coming. Our time is here. Our time is now. We get next. That's why it's just so amazing to me that people won't even take the time to read. When this whole nation, this whole world killed our forefathers for wanting knowledge. Remember, we were destroyed for lack of knowledge. So every time that we got ready to learn to read, they killed us. And they killed the person that was trying to teach you to read. And if it was one of theirs, if it was one of their, sort of like, especially if it was a white girl or woman, they sent her off to the convent. Ostracize them. Excommunicate them. You can't have these niggers read, because once we read, we will read for interpretation through our eyes, because it's our stuff. Moreover, we would have the esoteric understanding, because it's our, and I know people don't get it. That's fine. It doesn't even matter at this stage. I'm set forth to do what I do. I'm not here to debate with people. I'm not here to hope people understand. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at this stage. What matters is you do your own due diligence. What matters is you don't have no fear. You better have some faith, and you better be storing up faith, because when the ass whipping starts coming, all people are going to be mourning. And if you ain't got faith, it's going to be just like the death angel in Egypt. if you ain't got the mark, which is going to be your faith, if you or the seal, I should say, if you ain't got the seal from the Most High, which is going to be your faith, you're going to be ass out. I mean, straight up, you're just going to be ass out. You know, and that's why we feel bad, because the good news is for Israel. The salvation is for Israel. It's not for the world. The world has their salvation now. They're living it, or they were. They can go everywhere, anywhere they wanted to. They could lie and say they gone to the moon. They could do it all. They could step on us and not give a good care. Somehow, all that's changed. And we know that somehow is by the grace of the Father. Why? Because salvation is of Israel. Why would you need salvation if you are living high on the hog already? What the hell would you need salvation for? For what reason? You already have it. This is why the Gentiles have to pay. This is why the balance is coming back in. This is why Israel will be risen to the top and resurrected. This is why we're talking about this stuff. Because the Gentiles don't want you to know, because they know that they can't get true salvation. So they would rather take you with them to the fiery pit. They want to take you with them. So, you got choices. That's what you got. You got choices. But understand that there's good news for Israel and those that cleave to Israel. It's just simple as that. The good news. That's the salvation. That's where we are today, here, October 5th, 2022, so-called. So, that's how I see it. That's from the mind of a Hebrew. That's through the eyes of an Israelite. And I know Hebrew is just the language, like English, but whatever. That's from the mind and eyes and soul of a child of the Father, the God, the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All praises to the Most High. Hope this was edifying. Hopefully we can do this again. All praises. And God willing, we'll be back next week. Don't forget, gopher wood and corn, all indigenous to the Americas. Don't be tricked. Don't believe the hype. Shalom.